Usually, Judicial Watch President Tom Fitton uses the courtroom to obtain documents that often reveal corruption. But recently, he was on the inside of a grand jury proceeding as a witness, forced to testify in the investigation led by Department of Justice Special Counsel Jack Smith, the same Jack Smith who has brought an indictment against former President Trump in this case about President Trump's possession of classified documents. So, Mr. Fitton, after this experience, I understand that you may have some concerns about these grand jury proceedings. Did you see prosecutorial misconduct, sir?
Well, I mean, it really started with, the FBI raid of Trump and the abuses that we have since learned about with the pressure on Trump. But certainly Judicial Watch has been front and center highlighting that, right? And for our pains, I get a knock at the door of my home, FBI agents serving me a subpoena. Because evidently, they were concerned about my information I had with respect to Trump and Mar-a-Lago and, the documents he had there. And Judicial Watch has been front and center in highlighting the disparate treatment that Trump was subject to by this Justice Department, the National Archives, on presidential records. And we compared and contrasted that with the treatment that they gave President Clinton, where they protected him on the sock drawer tapes and asked for a court ruling, which they obtained, that essentially prohibited anyone from second-guessing his decision to keep records personal versus presidential.
So you think this was harassment? You think this was an effort by someone to perhaps discourage you from participating, discourage you from speaking out? What was the objective here, do you think?
It was just that. And speaking of prosecutorial abuse, I'm in there testifying about these issues, and the Justice Department attorney, the prosecutor, there were 3 prosecutors, he asked several questions designed to get me to swear under oath that I wouldn't talk about what happened in the grand jury, even though later he admitted, well, you have every right to do so. And only because I pushed back did I not agree to that. So they were trying to get me to, fool me into giving away my rights.
And you don't have a lawyer. Were you able to have a lawyer there with you when you were before the grand jury?
No. So you go into the grand jury room as a witness, and I was a witness there, and the grand jurors are there and the prosecutors are there, and your lawyers are in another part of the area, but they're not there with you. And if you need to consult with them, you have to take a break and go consult with them.
And this was all because you, Judicial Watch, you were asking for information pertaining to what was going on with the former president and his documents.
We're educating people about what was going on. We were suing separately for records about the abuse of Trump. And then at the last minute, they also said they wanted me to talk about, the January 6th issue. And so I spent a good period of time, talking about whether citizens could dispute elections, how that would be done, alternative electors, and what the law is with respect to elections. I'm thinking, John, the entire time, so why am I being asked about First Amendment protected activity and Judicial Watch's anti-corruption work before a federal grand jury? How is it anything but intimidation and politics?
Do you think that the former president has a very good chance of perhaps defending himself? I mean, do you see the predicate as being somewhat faulty here in terms of the indictment? Any weaknesses?
If justice prevails, he will. But that's a difficult challenge in this politicized judicial system we have, and hopefully the judges see through the sham indictment. But it's there's no guarantees. So we'll see what happens.
Judicial Watch President Tom Fitton talking about his experience appearing before a grand jury in connection with the investigation into the former president. Thank you very much, Tom Fitton, for joining us on One America News.
You're welcome, Jim.
For all our viewers asking where One America News is heading in the future, we would like to introduce you to OAN Live. OAN Live is the best way to stay up to date on all of the hard-hitting, straight-shooting, national and international headlines. And the best part is, OAN Live is only $4.99 per month. All the credible, honest, unbiased reporting One America News offers at a fraction of the cost of cable. Just go to OANN.com to easily sign up for OAN Live and stay informed.